This is the Fox 5 News Block.
Pushback against President Donald Trump's agenda. The deadline for federal workers to accept a buyout has been delayed following a ruling by a federal judge. And breaking news out of the Philippines, one U.S. service member and 3 defense contractors killed in a military plane crash. Good afternoon. I'm Richard Giacobas. Welcome to the News Block. We'll get to those stories in a moment. But first, a messy morning commute. Take a look at the scenes from across our area. Some of you saw snow. Some of you saw sleet. Some freezing rain and ice. Messy and dangerous for drivers. And more inclement weather could be coming back just in time for the weekend. We bring in Liv Johnson for a look at the forecast. Liv, it got a little better now, at least.
Yes, now, thankfully, most of that mess has cleared up. Just like Richard said, we saw snow, we saw sleet, we saw ice, we saw freezing rain, and then it became all rain. We had a little bit of a sprinkle that was lingering for our late morning hours, but now it's pretty clear, and it's actually pretty calm out there as well. We didn't end up getting a lot of snow throughout the tri-state. It looks like parts of Connecticut did get the most, and still, max that we're seeing right now for our total is about 1.5 inches. Nowhere really even got up to 2 inches. And now we're above freezing, so that's going to help us a lot because the ice and the snow that did land, that's going to melt, especially for New York, out on Long Island, where it's 39 for Islip, 40 for East Hampton, 39 also down the shore in New Jersey. But we do have Hartford still struggling to get up there into the 30s, so it's 26 degrees right now in Hartford. So people who live in that area, still be careful on your commute home. I mean, obviously, everyone should always be careful, but with those temperatures below freezing and still even cooler than yesterday, that ice just might have a bit of a longer time to melt. Richard?
Thanks, Liv. Breaking news now. Federal judges blocking parts of President Trump's agenda. This involves the federal government employee buyout and his birthright citizenship order. Our Linda Schmidt has been following these developments. She joins us from the newsroom to break it all down. Linda.
Yeah, good afternoon to you there, Richard. And you know the developments every day. They are ever changing, and it happened again today. There have been some questions as to whether the president's buyout offer to federal workers was even legal. And now a judge has temporarily blocked that plan. The deadline was midnight tonight for federal employees to decide if they wanted to take the buyout. They would resign, and then they would get pay and benefits through September. However, this afternoon, a U.S. district judge in Boston scheduled a hearing for Monday on the legality of the plan and extended the deadline until after that hearing. And in another development today, President Trump speaking at a prayer breakfast in Washington this morning, announcing that he is creating a, quote, freedom of religion commission, as well as a task force to deal with what he calls anti-Christian bias in the U.S. He is going to be signing an executive order putting Attorney General Pam Bondi in charge of the task force at the Justice Department.
The mission of this task force will be to immediately halt all forms of anti-Christian targeting and discrimination within the federal government, including at the DOJ, which was absolutely terrible, the IRS, the FBI, terrible, and other agencies. In addition, the task force will work to fully prosecute anti-Christian violence and vandalism in our society and to move heaven and earth to defend the rights of Christians and religious believers nationwide.
And for the second time in just 2 days, another federal judge has blocked President Trump's birthright citizenship order. A judge in Seattle just a short time ago criticizing the president, saying he is trying to change the U.S. Constitution by signing an executive order that would end citizenship for children of parents who are in the U.S. illegally. So, Richard, back upstairs to you. Never a shortage of news coming out of D.C.
I was just going to say that, Linda. News every day from this administration. Thank you. They have always been known as safe havens, churches, schools, hospitals. But since President Trump rescinded a longstanding policy that protected migrants inside those locations, the calls are growing, protesting that decision. Protesters gathering at St. Mark's Church in the Bowery this morning, rallying against ICE enforcement at sensitive locations, saying this directive attacks the physical safety of immigrants.
The longstanding policy meant that there was no immigration enforcement in places of worship, schools, playgrounds, healthcare institutions like hospitals and doctors' offices, at bus stops, social service establishments, at parades and rallies.
What is being done is not about public safety. It never was. It is about repressive and cruel policies to be repressive and cruel to particular communities.
Demonstrators also say the Trump administration's directive instills fear in these communities. Breaking news now out of the Philippines. One U.S. service member and 3 defense contractors have been killed in a plane crash. Officials say the plane crashed into a rice field in the southern Philippines. According to the U.S. military, the aircraft was conducting a routine mission to provide intelligence and other support to the Asian nation. The cause of the crash now being investigated. At noon this afternoon, a suspect police believe is connected to shooting and killing a 9-year-old boy in Newark is now in custody. Prosecutors say 36-year-old Jesse Dunbar is facing first-degree murder and other charges after he was arrested yesterday. He's accused of killing 9-year-old Yassine Morrison last Friday. Morrison had autism and was nonverbal. Police say he was shot with his family as they were going to see the boy's grandmother.
This was a dogged effort of police, hardcore police effort. I mean, this was the sort of thing that life is, truth is stranger than fiction, as they say. So anything you've seen on TV in terms of law and order pales in comparison to the efforts that these folks behind me did. This was just hardcore, on the ground, dogged police work, period.
Police do not believe Yassine was the intended target, but a second person was also shot during the incident. An investigation is now underway. And the NYPD is asking for help identifying the suspects in a series of robberies targeting Lyft and Uber drivers across the city. At least 22 incidents have occurred in Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island since November. Investigators say the 2 people usually enter a for-hire vehicle together. They then ask the driver to hand over his or her phone so they can type in the address to a new destination. Cops say they then use the phone to send themselves money, or they use force to take the device. They say one of the suspects sometimes acts alone. Police say they've stolen thousands of dollars worth of cell phones and thousands more in illegal money. And more breaking news in California, where a utility company says its equipment likely sparked a smaller wildfire that broke out at the same time 2 massive wildfires devastated parts of the L.A. area. Southern California Edison says its equipment may be linked to the Hearst fire, which didn't destroy any structures or result in any deaths. The company also said it's looking into whether an idle transmission line became energized and possibly sparked the deadly Eaton fire in Altadena. They said right now there's no evidence linking its equipment to that blaze. New data released from the app Transit. Taking a closer look at which subway stations have the most rats. According to the report, the 116th Street station on the 2 and 3 line in Harlem is the rattiest station in the city. Rats were reported on 42% of trips at that station. Wow. Coming in at number 2 is the 125th Street station, serving the 4, 5, and 6 lines in Harlem. The Parson Boulevard E&F station in Jamaica, Queens came in 3rd. I will avoid all of those. A shop on Long Island is on a special mission to serve up some sweet treats just in time for Valentine's Day and life experiences, too. Fox 5's Jody Goldberg takes us to the Chocolate Lab in Port Washington, where adults with autism are learning to become chocolatiers.
Walk inside the Chocolate Lab in Port Washington, and you'll find something sweet inside.
It's stirring, Philip. That's beautiful.
When I'm here, I feel happy.
Kara, along with more than 24 others, used to work out of this smaller kitchen down the road, but now they have space to spread out and a storefront to sell their chocolate creations.
We make hand-dipped everything: graham crackers, animal crackers, Lorna Dunes, pretzels. Have a great variety of gluten-free products.
It's a labor of love for Stella Spinacos, who co-founded the Nicholas Center. She wanted a place where her son Nicholas and other young adults with autism could take part in experiences once school finished. The Chocolate Lab started as a vocational program and molded into a social enterprise.
We're working on marketing, merchandising, communication, socialization.
And chocolate's not the only thing for sale here. They have hand-poured candles and screen-printed shirts, all designed and made by the participants.
I knew the mission, but I didn't know they had this facility. You just have to support it.
Let's have over here.
According to statistics, 85% of adults with autism are unemployed. The goal here to offer those on the spectrum a job.
My favorite part about doing it is making up small cookies. I like graham crackers the best.
They've mastered the recipe for success.
First, I get the chocolate, then I put my melter on high, then I keep stirring, then I put it on low, put the first one, and then I melt it.
And have the process down pat.
The confidence and the pride and the independence. They have something to give of themselves.
The sweet taste of success to fill their hearts.
I feel really excited to do things myself.
And the hearts of others.
Everybody can fit in somewhere.
On Long Island, Jody Goldberg, Fox 5 News.
They are pros. We are just days away from the big game between the Chiefs and the Eagles. As we all know, the broadcast, though, is not just for football fans. Apple Music holding a press conference this morning with all the musical artists taking part in this year's Super Bowl. Rap superstar and Grammy Award winner Kendrick Lamar is headlining this year's halftime show.
But being in the now and being just locked into how I feel and the energy I have now, that's the LA energy for me. That's something that I want to carry over to New Orleans and for the world to see.
I'm Troy right back, huh?
Grammy Award winner Jean-Baptiste will be singing the national anthem at Super Bowl 59. And remember, Fox 5 is your home for Super Bowl 59, and we're counting down to the big game with a full day of coverage tomorrow. It all starts at noon, followed by more stories and guests leading up to Super Sunday on the 5 and 6 o'clock news. You can still catch tomorrow's noon show on My 9 and the Fox Local app. Already Super Bowl weekend. Let's take a live look outside where it's still gloomy out. We had a messy morning, which has now given way to those clouds live. What I don't think is that the northern suburbs should have had school today. They called school off for everyone this morning.
I know. Well, I guess they're just being cautious. I mean, it was a rough commute this morning. It's an ugly picture outside right now, but at least we do have dry air. This is the system that passed through. It was all that snow, all that action ahead of this warm front. And we are going to repeat this exact cycle over the weekend. So this area of high pressure is going to come and keep us dry tomorrow. We're just going to deal with a lot of wind tomorrow, but other than that, we're not looking to have any precipitation, and it should be mostly sunny. But then we have the exact same situation. Remember, this warm front coming through, but ahead of it, snow, sleet, ice, freezing rain, and then all rain Saturday going into Sunday. So yeah, not the best weekend. But again, at least tomorrow, these clouds will break up. We'll have a bit more sunshine. It won't be too cold, but we will deal with that wind chill because it's going to be pretty gusty out there. Then we are dry until Tuesday, Wednesday, when we have another chance of snow that's going to go through the tri-state area. Richard?
Just the roller coaster pattern we're in, Liv, right?
Yes.
Thanks. That's your news block for now. I'm Richard Giacovas. Thanks for joining us. Tune into the 5 o'clock news on Fox 5 right here on Fox Local for all the day's news as it develops. And we will see you back here tomorrow.